time to plant these seeds. But while I have you, I'm doing the most. Yep, that's what I'm doing. So much so, got tired needing to grab a snack. Hey everyone, welcome back. So we are back with another video. In this video in particular, I'm going to be planting seeds. So for those of you who are beginning gardeners like me, you've probably seen all the videos where everyone's talking about their last frost date and they're starting to sow their seeds. You're probably getting a whole bunch of ads like I am, letting you know that seeds are on sale and this miracle grow is on sale, etc., etc. That's because this is a big time. Farmers are literally in the race to make sure that they get their seedlings sown in time so that they can plant them in the ground as soon as possible once the last frost gets here. So, the last frost, if you're not familiar, is the date in which the last day that you will have frost in your area. For each area, which they're separated by zones, the frost date is slightly different. And this I found is made up by data taken from the previous season. So they just take the previous year's data on when the last frost was and they do calculations and averages or something of that sort. And they make estimations of when the last frost will be for the upcoming year. So all this is estimation. And so the idea is you want to plant your seeds. A lot of seeds need to be sown weeks in advance so that they can grow to a seedling that is strong enough to actually be replanted and transplanted into your garden. So this is what I'm doing here. This is round one of seed sowing. I'm actually sowing seeds from a batch of herb seeds that I bought a while back that I really wanted to try out. And this was the easy part. Honestly, this part went really smoothly because this was the first day and I was only doing about like 10 or so different varieties. It wasn't really a lot. It was a shorter session. But as you can see, I'm going through and I've already placed the soil into each of the containers and I'm paying attention to kind of spacing them out because I decided I wanted to put multiple seeds per container to give me the best chance of coming up with a healthy seedling once we got down to that point of the grow process. So I'm even going in with the tweezers, like your girl was committed. I actually soaked these seeds in this batch with just regular water in this one because sometimes soaking seeds in water can help with germination, help speed things up. Also, with these seeds in particular, these were actually so these were fennel, lovage, and a couple other varieties I can't remember at the moment that I sowed during this session. And they particularly call out on the back of the package that you should soak the seeds for a certain period of time. It's a suggestion for best results type of thing. So since I want the best results, I figured I'd take the suggestion. Okay, everyone. So we now have all of our seeds. Remember, we were soaking these from a while ago, and I was all like, hey, I'm not going to let them soak for the full time because I've got to go. Clearly, that never happened. I never actually planted them early. And that's actually because I ended up leaving earlier than I expected. So um, they've actually been soaking, and I wrote down the time for nearly, let's see, nearly 72 hours, right? 3 days. So almost 3 days, which means the minimum requirement has at least been met. But a few of them, like the lovage and the rosemary, they were only supposed to be soaked for minimum or up to 6 to 8 hours. So I'm not sure if that's going to affect anything. Honestly, I think it'll be fine. But for the fennel and the cilantro, we've clearly met their 24 to 48 hour time frame. So we now have all of them perfectly planted. And if you saw, I was just trying to make sure that I sowed the seeds at whatever right depth is perfect for them. So we have them on here. I'm using this like I said, the Dollar Tree. I'm using this what do you call it? I guess it's a potting lid. Basically, you can pour water in it. You sit your planters in here, and this allows you to bottom feed your seedlings or plants, whatever it is that you're setting in here. I like this idea because it allows the seeds as the roots to grow downward to grab water whenever they need to. It's also a little less invasive because some seeds, some plants don't like really wet soil. So when you allow them to get the water when they need it, it prevents the soil from being soggy and too wet. And this seed starter mix is the dehydrated packs that they have at the Dollar Tree. So this mix specifically does not have the little perlite stones that help it have more drainage. It's not built into the soil because it's just for starting seeds. So you have to be careful if you're starting seeds the way that you water them so that you don't have that issue. So as you can see here, I ended up doing 4 fennel planters, 1 seed per planter. Per the package it says to just do 1 per planter. And since fennel is something that I'll be using a lot of in the future, I figured do the separate seed per planter and we'll get to see how each of their success rate is. And if they hopefully 100% success rate, then I'll have 4 healthy fennel seeds, plants. Excuse me. And I'm going to water these by pouring some water into this planter. And I can't tell you how much I really do love this. And I'm just going to fill enough to cover the bottom. Let's see. Yep. Enough to cover the bottom. And it was a 1/2 inch that the water has absorbed some into the planter, into the pots already. So I'm going to leave it like that. Yeah. And I don't know if it's picking up very well on the camera, but I can see that the soil is getting moisturized from the bottom because some of them are turning darker in shade. So I'm not going to do anything else. I'm going to leave it like that overnight. Tomorrow morning, I'll check on them and I'll see the water will probably be fully absorbed by then. And then these will go on my Rise garden system until I can finish setting up their permanent home. And I still have space on the top rack for these. So I'm actually going to place these on there right now, and then we'll come back and do the last few. Okay, I wanted to show you as I'm placing these up here on the planter, but all of the water is fully absorbed. And you can see, get a good angle there, you can actually see on the side how the soil just soaked it up. So yeah, bottom feeding is the way because it will only soak up as much as it needs. And honestly, it only will soak up as much as you put down on the bottom, so you can kind of control it that way as well. So my system is off. As you can see, the lights are off, but I'm going to place these up here and I will check back with you guys later and give you an update. All right, everyone. So now it's time for round 2. And if you've had a chance to see my previous video of my seed haul, this is what I am doing here. I am sowing the seeds from that trip. And this is actually the full set of seeds that we'll be planting in my mom and dad's garden in their backyard. So I decided, you see that picture I have there is a diluted solution of a 3% hydrogen peroxide mix. It said that soaking seeds in a diluted mix of hydrogen peroxide can help increase germination and basically just soften the seeds up. And so I figured, hey, let's try it. I wanted to be fancy and do all the things. And, this is kind of the beginning of the end, not gonna lie. This was the beginning of a very interesting journey. It started off as a really great idea, but the idea was to sow the seeds, let them sit for 30 minutes, and then after they sat for 30 minutes, you want to begin to sow them into their actual pots. All right, y'all. Hold, please. 30-minute timer stopped on bedroom. That's my timer. It's time to plant these seeds. But while I have you, I'm doing the most. Yep, that's what I'm doing. So much so, got tired needing to grab a snack. However, we did prevail to some extent. So I got all the seeds and companion seeds in their little, I thought I was being so clever, right? With this little egg carton setup. Come to find out, both of the little cartons have holes in them. So as I'm pouring the water in, it's slowly leaking out on the table. And then I realized, if you overfill the little containers, the water spills into the other container. Oh, and by the way, once your seeds are in there, they flow where the water goes. So here's an example, classic example of the engineering overthinking things. Probably, I'm guessing, if I had to speak for the seasoned farmers out there, many of them are going to say they don't soak their seeds. I have a feeling that's what they would say. And I I take that criticism. I take that critique. But we are here now, and the seeds are soaking, and the timer has gone off. So I'm now going to plant said soaked seeds, and just know not to repeat this again. That's what we're gonna do. I'm now realizing that again, my genius work here with using these trays, not so genius. I had multiple varieties of peppers and kale. Not completely sure which variety is which now. I know which row because I put them in the same order, but it'll be a surprise garden. Stay tuned. Okay, so here I am. Your girl may be a lot of things, but a quitter I am not. So after I had my little realization of my epic failure of my major quote unquote genius plans, I decided we're gonna push through and get this thing done. So here I am labeling the planter seed pods. I'm just labeling them according to the map that I made up. So you can see me checking it there to make sure I'm getting the right ones. And at the very least, labeling everything that I know that I've placed into the egg carton, even if some of my seeds got mixed up, which honestly was devastating. I don't know how I didn't realize that that was going to happen. So I'm using a Miracle Grow potting mix. It's a moisture control mix, so it has some perlite and things in there to help compete against over or underwatering. So I didn't actually buy this. This was a bag that my mom had at the house that she just wasn't using. So we are going to put it to use now. And it's already nice and moist because it actually was sitting outside, which we'll see how much an issue that becomes because there was a little bit of green mold in there, but I'm just digging around it, honestly. So, we'll see. We shall see. This is our first garden, so we're going to figure out what works, what doesn't, what do you really have to focus on. That's what we're doing. There you go. So here I am with that mix that I just mentioned, trying to place my holes so I can start sowing the seeds. And you probably notice I'm having difficulty doing so because the soil just doesn't manipulate just like the previous one I'm used to. I am so tired. But we are at the home stretch. This is, I'm going to tell you what I decided to do here. I decided to mix that Miracle Grow, it's an indoor-outdoor pot mix, that's the darker color you see here, with the Coconut Coir seed starter mix, the dehydrated block. Decided to mix it because I just kind of felt that doing 100% of the outdoor mix, indoor-outdoor mix, wasn't going to be good for the seedlings. It has some bigger sticks in there, and I decided mixing it, it just felt better to mix them together. It's not based on anything scientific or any type of research. I just had a feeling and I decided to go with it. So I also pulled out some of the bigger sticks. So this is the last batch. I've already finished the first garden bed, planting all those seeds into their pots. Now we're in the home stretch, and y'all, I was tired. But we're almost finished. Once they're all planted, we just have to monitor, water, and maintain. So I'm gonna keep going, finish up, and I'll show you how it looks at the end. See a little more here. So last night I went ahead and I started some of my seeds. This is just a few of them. Let me show you here what I got set up. So this is kind of like a little humidity dome that I created. And I have my seed starting soil. And I just went ahead and I labeled each of these. So we got some calendula going here. And I started just with what I had. So I had some of those biodegradable seed starter planter cups. And I just picked a whole bunch of seeds. I ordered this multi-pack. So as you can see, we had some nice condensation going. And on here, this is a heat mat. It's specifically for germination, things like this, when you need to keep your seeds warm. And for, as many of you guys probably know, if you don't know, for some seeds, really can be beneficial for all, but some seeds specifically do require to have a warm atmosphere to the tune of 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which helps activate that germination. So what I'm actually about to do now, because I did these like late last night because I wanted to get them started, I'm going to relocate these to my hydroponic system where there's a light source, because I'm not finished setting up these guys' permanent home, which is what would be my seed starting area, which I'll tell you more about that later. But right now, while I have the space and the light source, I'm going to transport these over there, and that's where they'll live. And I should, if I have the space, be able to apply the dome as well, but we'll see. All right, y'all. So if I haven't said it enough times by this point, your girl was tired to the point I didn't even really take pictures of the final product for real. I was done. At the end of this, I ended up planting over 32 different types of seeds multiplied by 3 because I made sure that I had extra for when they start to sprout so that if any die, plus companion seeds, at least 10 to 16 different varieties there. I did a lot. Didn't realize I probably should have, if I would go back again, I would have broken this up into multiple sessions and kind of done some pre soaking the day before and things of that nature. I talked mad trash about the pre soaking process, but I really do think it's going to be beneficial. In hindsight, I would just do it a different way. And I learned a lot of things from the way that I did do it and all the fails and mishaps that I had along the way. So it was definitely a learning session. It took me hours. I can't even tell you how many. It took me hours. And once I got into it, I decided I wasn't going to be defeated. So I was like, we're finishing. So I was in late into the night. But we finished it. We got it all done. They are happily resting on their new home. And we're going to keep going from there. But thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.